This meeting is now being recorded.
Good afternoon. This is Sonja Mason, and you've dialed in for the Tennessee Board of Regents quarterly meeting. I'll go ahead and see who we have on the call at this time. I'll only be calling board members and staff members who will be presenting. No one else needs to respond. Vice Chair Reynolds.
Here.
Regent Apple. Here. Regent Burdine. Regent Dollar.
Here.
Regent Duckett.
Here.
Regent Gill.
Here.
Thank you. Regent Goldsmith.
Here.
Regent Green.
Here.
Regent Hatch.
Here.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Here.
Thank you. Regent Krause.
Here.
Regent Pepper.
Here.
Regent Pepper. Thank you. Regent Prescott.
Here.
Commissioner Schwinn. Commissioner Schwinn. Regent Shockey. Regent Garland.
Here.
Regent Womp. Regent Womp. Regent White.
I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, let me go back. Is Chancellor Tidings, are you on the line?
I am present.
Thank you. Christine Modisher.
I'm here.
Vice Chancellor McCormick. Vice Chancellor McCormick. Vice Chancellor Gibbs.
Here.
Is Dr. Deaton on the line? Dr. Deaton. Is Dr. Hamilton on the line?
Yes, I am here, Sonja.
Okay. Is there any media on the line? None have requested the number, but I was wanting to check to make sure. Let me see if Regent Burdine has joined the call.
I'm here.
Thank you. Is Commissioner Schwinn on the call yet? Okay. And has Regent Womp joined the line?
I'm here.
Thank you. Any other board members or any other staff members need to be recognized at this time before Vice Chair calls the meeting to order? Anyone else need to be recognized? Vice Chair Reynolds, your board's assembled if you'd like to begin.
Thank you very much, Sonja. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us. I know we all recognize we are in very difficult times. We are grateful for the leadership of Governor Lee in our state right now, and with the authority that we have to meet telephonically and taking his executive order very seriously to remain in place as much as we possibly can. Obviously, we are meeting today in our quarterly board meeting telephonically, having delayed this meeting from the 25th of March. If I could ask everyone to mute your phones, and just a reminder, as you heard when we began, this will be recorded. Typically, as we know, we are live streamed during our meetings. To keep with the transparency required by state law and the transparency that we desire in our operations, rather than the video, the audio of this meeting will be archived, just so everyone knows. We're going to have more roll call votes than usual today because that is required during a telephonic session of the board. So it may seem a little laborious. I will ask you all to bear with us. But again, thank you for taking the time at what I know is a very precarious time for our state and our nation and the world. But I know from the Chancellor's report, which you will hear shortly, our team has never forgotten our mission to put our students first throughout this very difficult time. And I know we look forward to hearing more. With that, Sanja, we need to make it official, and I would like to ask you please to call the roll.
Thank you. Governor Lee. Regent Apple. Here. Regent Verdine.
Here.
Regent Dollar. Here. Regent Duckett.
Here.
Regent Gill.
Here.
Regent Goldsmith.
Here.
Regent Green.
Here.
Regent Hatch.
Here.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Here.
Regent Krause.
Here.
Regent Pepper.
Here.
Regent Prescott. Regent Prescott. I know she's here. She said she was.
Yeah.
Vice Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Schwinn, have you joined the call? Regent Shockey.
Here.
Thank you. Regent Varlin.
I'm here.
Regent Watt.
Here.
And Regent White.
I am here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you all very much. We have 3 business items to dispense with initially before we move to the Chancellor's report. The first being, of course, the approval of our regular session minutes from December 12, 2019. If no one has any corrections or adjustments to those minutes, we are looking for a motion to approve the December 12 meeting minutes, please.
So moved.
This
is Regent Barlin.
Thank you, Regent Barlin. And a second?
Mary Lou Apple.
Thank you. Sanja, did you get the motion and the second?
Yes, I did, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the minutes from our last regular session? Hearing none, once again, Sanja, we will need a roll call vote.
Thank you. Dr. Apple. Yes. Regent Verdine.
Aye.
Regent Dollar.
Aye.
Regent Duckett.
Aye.
Regent Gill.
Aye.
Regent Green.
Aye.
Regent Hatch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Yes.
Regent Pepper.
Aye.
Regent Prescott.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Aye.
Commissioner Schwinn. Regent Shockey.
Aye.
Regent Varlin.
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
I'm checking to make sure I've called everyone.
Don't mess me up and do me instead of Regent Womp now.
Regent Womp is an I also.
All right. I knew I was missing one.
Stick
Oh,
your
there we
alphabet,
go.
Sanja.
All
Stick
right.
your alphabet.
Okay. Did I miss anyone else? All right. Madam Chair, Your motion carries.
Thank you very much. The Chancellor, of course, as we hear each quarter, also has a report of interim action to provide us today. That, of course, was in all of our packets of information, but I know she needs to present this to us and may have one update for us or one thing in particular to bring to our attention before we vote. Chancellor Tidings?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the board members for taking time to be on this call today. I know many of you are scurrying with your own activities and trying to keep the oars in the water. Today, the interim action report was included in the material sent to all board members prior to our meeting. This report does constitute a record of businesses transacted by the Office of the Chancellor since the previous quarterly meeting of the board. And Madam Chair, at this time, I would like to call on Dr. Hamilton to give some background on the multiple measures for learning support placement action, which was included in this report. Dr. Hamilton?
Okay. Thank you, Chancellor Tidings, and good afternoon, Vice Chair Reynolds and board members. I want to begin with just a quick overview of our current Tennessee Board of Regents Learning Support Policy, and the policy number is 2030002. A part of this policy, there is an exhibit, Exhibit 2, and within the exhibit, there is a list of assessments that have been approved by the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs that assist us in placing students once they are admitted to the college. Typically, these are assessments that will place students into or out of a learning support course at a TBR college. The assessments that are currently listed and approved within the policy and encompassed in Exhibit 2 include ACT, SAT, the learning support competencies through our SALES program, and then we also have a national assessment known as AccuPlacer, and this is also a placement test. And it's basically a tool that assesses the student's readiness for introductory college-level coursework. So we have these assessments already approved within policy. We also have within the policy established cut scores that determine a student's readiness. So we have a table that will identify a cut score, and if those students are below the cut score, then they are placed in the learning support co-requisite model of education for reading, writing, and math. If they are at or above, then they are placed in college-level coursework. Well, due to the environment that we are in now with the COVID-19, we recognize that we may have students who potentially would like to apply to our colleges and move forward in planning for their summer and fall semester. But at this point, they may not have that ACT or that SAT, AccuPlacer, or SALES at this point in time. There is another type of an assessment that is out there nationally, and also an assessment that has been researched at the board for several years now, and that is the assessment of high school GPA. So it just so happened that while we're encountering this COVID-19 situation, we really started looking at what types of multiple measures are available and potentially available. And so we looked to our policy and strategy team, as well as our academic affairs team and all the supporting units, to really look the last couple of weeks at incorporating high school GPA for this summer and fall 2020 placement period of time. Basically, it would be a pilot study. We would, if students came in, ACT, SAT, SALES, AccuPlacer, but we would be adding another assessment. I do have Chancellor Tidings. I think Dr. Deaton is online to sort of share a little bit about the history of this multiple measure called high school GPA, because as I made the request to you, this request was not made lightly. And at the end of the day, it was about our students and their success moving forward. Dr. Deaton, are you on the line?
I am, yes, Dr. Hamilton. Thank you. I'll be happy to address that for the board. Good afternoon, everyone. So the foundation of a lot of this goes back to the predictability of ACTs and GPAs across a range of outcomes for college students, whether they be GPAs in college, retention rates, graduation rates, et cetera. And so what we have done is both the descriptive but also a more rigorous analysis of the impacts of ACT and GPA as well as other demographic variables on the probability of passing a college-level course. And we have a white paper up on the website that we can also get out to everyone. But the short version of the history here, as Dr. Hamilton alluded to and said, is that essentially GPA is a much more powerful predictor of college success than is ACT. And to kind of put it in sort of simple terms for us is that even if a student has, say, a lower ACT of a 14 or a 15, but they have a very healthy GPA, we see very high pass rates in college-level courses, whereas the opposite's true if you have a student with a very healthy ACT, say a 24, but a low GPA. So that GPA tends to be the much more predictive variable, and this holds up in all sorts of modeling that we do that account for a host of factors. So therefore, as Dr. Hamilton said, it gives us some confidence that this is indeed a worthy experiment and one that is in the best interest of students.
Chancellor Tidings, is that a sufficient summary?
Yes, thank you, Lena and Dr. Deaton both for giving that explanation. And Madam Chair, pending any questions, I recommend the board's approval of the report of interim action.
Are there any questions for the Chancellor or Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Deaton on this? I know we all appreciate this. Yes, please.
This is Mark Gill. I apologize. But Russ, could you go back and I think Dr. Hamilton addressed this in her opening. I just didn't catch it. But how are we using this data where it's predictive? As I understand it, what we're saying here is the GPA is more predictive than, say, the ACT or the SAT and some other indicators. And so we are experimenting by adding in the GPA. But how are we using this data? When we say it's predictive, are we actually trying to guide students in specific areas with it, or how are we using the data?
That's a good question, Regent Gill. We're basically using the data to go back and look at how students of a certain profile performed in their college-level courses. And so we took 7 or 8 years of history and looked at certain student demographics and characteristics, GPA, ACT, income status, a host of things, and then looked at an outcome in the model of of college success in the math course, and looked back to see which factors were the most predictive of that success. So it's not looking at getting into certain majors or programs. It's more at a high level, but the outcome of interest is whether they pass that college level course and then the variables that are most associated with that success.
And Regent Gill, just to add that, what we're trying to do is just to prevent them from taking learning support. That's all we're doing with it. We're saying they're exempt from learning support if they have that 3.6 GPA, but may not have taken the ACT or the SAT at this time.
Okay, good. That answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
No, thank you, Regent Gill. Any other questions for the Chancellor or the team on this? If not, we will need a motion to approve the Chancellor's interim action report, please.
Ms. Chancellor, by Regent Prescott, I move to approve.
Thank you, Regent Prescott. A second?
Second, Tom White.
Thank you, Tom. So any further discussion? If not, we will undertake an additional roll call vote here. Ms. Mason, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Dollar?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Green? Aye. Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent Pepper?
Aye.
Regent Prescott?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwinn? Regent Shockey?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. For our next item, I'm turning this over to Regent Hatch regarding audit committee activities. Please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The Audit Committee met in special call session on February the 11th, 2020 to approve the appointment of Jennifer Garreau to the position of Investigative Audit Manager in the Office of System-Wide Internal Audit. The Audit Committee also met in regular session on March 10th, 2020 to review and recommend approval of the following items: internal state and miscellaneous audit reports, system-wide internal audit update, university update, fiscal year 2020 revised audit plans, and new internal audit charters. Madam Vice Chair, as Audit Committee Chair, I move that the Board approve these reports of the February 11th and March 10, 2020 meeting of the Audit Committee as presented.
Thank you, Regent Hatch. We have a motion from the Audit Committee Chair. May we have a second for approval?
Second, Mary Lou.
Thank you, Dr. Apple. Any discussion or questions regarding the Audit Committee minutes from these two meetings? If not, we will once again engage our Secretary in a roll call vote. Please, ma'am.
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Dollar?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent Pepper?
Aye.
Regent Prescott? Regent Prescott? Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwinn? Regent Shockey?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Regent Prescott, are you there? Vice Chair Reynolds, motion carried.
Thank you very much, and thank you again, Regent Hatch. We will now turn to our report of the Chancellor. And before I turn this over to her, I want to thank Regent Krause for joining us this afternoon, Commissioner Hatcher, and we know Commissioner Schwinn has been deeply involved as the governor has led this effort regarding the state in this pandemic. Regent Krause, a particular thanks to you for leading THEC. As the Chancellor said, all oars have been in the water on many fronts, and for that we are extremely grateful. It was Friday, March 13, that the Chancellor gathered her senior team and had their initial call with all of her presidents regarding next steps. I had the good fortune to sit in on that call. The team was organized. They were professional. They knew there were lots of things in front of them that they would have to continue to organize and tweak and change along the way. But I think it's fair to say the team hit the ground running, as has all of public higher education in the state, and that should make us all very proud. It doesn't mean we won't be without our challenges in the future, but I just want to thank the chancellor and the team for all they're doing to make this work. And it happens at the ground level, at the campus level with all of our presidents, so we are in your debt as well. Chancellor, thanks too for keeping us updated each day with the updates from the governor's office and from what you all are doing. I hope all of the board has found those to be helpful in a way that I hope isn't a burden to you, but keeps us engaged and informed. So with that, let me turn the floor over to you to give us your update on COVID-19. And if I might ask the board, if we can let the chancellor walk through this, and then we'll turn to questions immediately following this part of her presentation, that would be great. Chancellor?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I do want to kind of walk you through it a little bit today. It was exactly 5 weeks ago today, Tuesday, March 3rd, when 10 tornadoes struck Tennessee and left a path of destruction going from Gibson County through Nashville, Lebanon, Cookeville, then on to Cumberland, Morgan, and counties in East Tennessee. And while several of our community and technical colleges were very close to the path of destruction, we are so fortunate that we didn't sustain any damage on our college campuses. The closest any of our campuses came to the storms actually being hit was TCAT Nashville's aviation facility at the John C. Toon Airport. The airport facilities around our facility sustained heavy damage, but the TCAT facility did not. In addition, Tennessee State University's agricultural campus, which was close by, was heavily damaged. Fortunately, TSU was on spring break that week and no injuries were reported. Our director of facilities, Dick Tracy, helped assess the damage there and actually led Governor Lee on a tour of the damage that morning. And he has also subsequently been working with FEMA to facilitate the repairs to the TSU campus. The Nashville tornado struck about 0.3 miles north of our system office. And while that office was not damaged, unfortunately it did do heavy damage to the areas in Donaldson. So we were without power and most worked from home on that Tuesday. And while none of our colleges suffered damage, I am sad to report that the 13-year-old daughter of our Ball State Livingston campus police officer, Michael Phillips, was killed when the family's Putnam County home was hit. Our heart and our prayers go out to Officer Phillips and his family and all others who lost their lives during this tragedy. We had 10 TBR staff members whose homes suffered some level of damage, from light to major, and several of our students' homes that were either directly destroyed or heavily damaged. We have been working diligently, even through this COVID-19 update, to try and help those that are in need. But 2 days later, on Thursday, March 5th, we learned that COVID-19 had arrived in Tennessee. On the morning of March 5th, Governor Lee and the State Health Commissioner, Lisa Piercy, held a briefing to announce that a Williamson County man was the first to test positive in the state. The governor activated the state COVID-19 task force, and TBR convened our COVID-19 planning team. We had already asked all of our colleges in their preparation plans earlier to be able to deal with disruptions, and we had asked them at this point to expedite those plans, including preparing for delivery of classes in an online environment. We issued guidance directing our campuses to begin implementing the CDC health and safety guidelines for avoiding spreading the virus, and we canceled all study abroad trips to countries that the State Department at that time had issued high-risk travel warnings for. On March 10th, we made the call to cancel the SOAR event, and we ended all out-of-state travel. And who would have ever thought when we wrote the SOAR contract that we needed the pandemic exit plan that was written into it by our most capable attorney. So, Wayne, we are very grateful to you for making sure that was in there. On March 12th, Director Krause arranged for Commissioner Piercy and her top staff at the Tennessee Department of Health to have a conference call with both system heads and the LGI president. By that time, the case count was only 9, but the projections were much more dramatic. The focus shifted to flattening the curve and mitigating the spread. After the THEC call, we immediately scheduled a conference call that morning with all presidents and our system office senior staff. Working closely together, we announced that we were extending spring break for an extra week and announced that when classes resumed, they would be online only. Also on that day, we canceled all clinical classes in which there would be contact between students and members of the public, such as cosmetology and barbering classes, and we ordered that all hands-on career technical education classes that could not be entirely moved to an online environment would operate only in a staggered instructional environment with groups of fewer than 10 students engaged with an instructor at a time, including after each class had left. Our system-level C-19 task force met daily the rest of that week, and on Friday, March 13th, we issued the first President's Daily Update, which we have continued to issue every day since. We continued our senior staff conference calls that weekend, and by Sunday, March 15th, the situation statewide had grown even more dire. Some TCATs in rural areas where there had been no confirmed C-19 cases had planned to resume classes that Monday. But on Sunday afternoon, we immediately issued guidance to our campuses that all TCATs that had been scheduled to open the next day were to send out a rave alert to all students that their spring break would be extended for another week. In addition, all presidents were encouraged to have as many faculty and staff work from home as possible, with the understanding that you may need to have key personnel and faculty on campus to serve students, prepare for online classes, and for other campus major operations. Our goal was to maintain as much normality in our student services as possible. We issued a media release that Sunday evening in an effort to further spread the word of our plans, and we also alerted all system office staff to work at home, except for those who had to go into the office to finish their preparation and those that would be distributing office mail. All of our colleges have since moved to online formats for the remainder of the semester. We announced that all in-person spring commencement ceremonies were canceled, and we left to the individual presidents and their campuses to decide whether to hold virtual graduation ceremonies or to delay those to spring or later in the year and combine them with either summer or fall graduation ceremonies. Hands-on classes for technical courses will not be scheduled through the end of April, except on very limited exceptions in healthcare arenas where we are trying to graduate skilled healthcare professionals to go into the field. Our colleges, our faculty, and our students have done an amazing job of adjusting to our new reality. They have mobilized our technology assets and are creatively staying connected. I could not be more proud of each and every member of our system and what they have accomplished under these very extreme conditions. At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Purrier for an update on what some of our colleges have been doing to help with TEMA and also what we have been doing with our role with labor at this time. Dr. Purrier, if you could just give us a brief update on that, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chancellor. On March the 19th, we received a call from Tennessee Higher Education Commission and the governor's office, and the chancellor and I had a conversation and learned of the dire need for the personal protection equipment, especially what's known as the face shield. That is a clear plastic acetate so that when they're working with patients that, bodily fluids aren't transmitted. The TBR system went into an immediate action and began developing and printing what's called the frames for the face shields for the healthcare workers. System-wide, we have created today over 7,500 headbands. We have 6 institutions that are actually printing. In East Tennessee, we have Pellissippi State Community College. We have Morristown, TCAT Morristown, and TCAT Elizabethton. In Middle Tennessee, we have TCAT Shelbyville and TCAT Murfreesboro. West Tennessee, we have TCAT Jackson, Jackson State. All of the frames that we produce go straight to Austin P, and then they will add the shield and the bands and complete the actual equipment for TEMA. Northeast State Community College is also working with local universities to do the very same thing as far as creating the headbands. We started printing, again, we had our phone call on March the 19th. We started printing on March the 20th and literally worked 24/7 until last Friday on April the 3rd. Our first Saturday, we made 114, and I was so excited just because it happened so quickly, and I didn't know what to expect. We are now averaging about 540 frames a day at these 6 institutions. So we have been told to slow the pace, and the instructors got the weekend off, and now we've been temporarily told to just slow production completely because we have over 17,000 frames statewide. This is just a temporary hold, is my understanding. I would like to say, Chancellor, that while 6 colleges have printed, I know for a fact we have had almost 100% of our colleges have participated in some way, whether it was donating the filament, the 3D printers, loaning out instructors. It truly was amazing to be able to send emails and call presidents to say, hey, do you have this? Can you get it to here? And everyone did so. It was a huge system effort. Also, as a system effort, we have donated all the different types of suits, the gloves, the mask, et cetera, to the state to assist healthcare providers, to TEMA, as well as many of our campuses have donated locally to their healthcare providers as well. So that sort of sums up, Chancellor, what we've done in that arena. And I would like to talk just a few minutes about what we call the WARN letters. And what those are worker adjustment and retraining notification letters that our department receives as PBR's ECD area. These are from the Tennessee Department of Labor, specifically the dislocated worker arena, and our office is working with them as we get those, and then we work with the Department of Labor, we work with the local workforce boards, the American Job Centers, along with, of course, our colleges. We started noticing an uptick about March the 6th. On Friday, we had 4,000 names listed that had received some sort of a layoff notice, either a temporary one or a permanent layoff notice. Unfortunately, in the last 2 days, we have added 900 more to that total. So we're sitting today at 4,900 claims. Deanna Morris-Stacy in our office is heading this up. I guess that's the bad news, Chancellor. The good news is that we are working with the Department of Labor. Many of you saw the announcement by the governor regarding the Tennessee Talent Exchange. And this is going to be where we try to do some short-term training to turn those dislocated workers into a different career area, some type of short training. We're looking at healthcare. We're looking at the grocery industry. We're looking at all different kinds to try to help these 4,900 people, and I'm sure there will be more as time goes on. But those are some of the things that we're working with, Chancellor. Is there anything else you'd like me to cover?
No, thank you, Carol. I really wanted the board to hear the engagement that the colleges have had with serving the state, and then what we're doing to help as this unemployment issue will continue to rise. We will be a large player in that, and we are ready to do so. So thank you for giving that update. And Madam Chair, that's where we are with the COVID-19. If you'd like, I'll go ahead and talk about our SOAR winners now.
Yeah, let's see if we have any further questions on COVID-19. And thank you for taking us back to March 3 and the day of the tragic tornadoes as well. As you pointed out, it could have been so much more disastrous for our system. So we were very fortunate in some ways, and our hearts do go out to our police officer. That's a very sad circumstance. Anybody have any questions or comments for the Chancellor with regard to this update? All right, very good. We can certainly go back to it if you guys do think of anything along the way. Chancellor, proceed with the SOAR Awards, which have gone on, so to speak.
Absolutely. We conducted our SOAR Awards. We finished the process virtually, and we were able to declare winners, which are being announced now for the first time publicly. So it is going to be my honor to announce to you our Student of the Year, our Faculty of the Year, our Staff Members of the Year, and a Partnership of the Year, and the most coveted College of the Year. So I'll begin that process now. I am not going to read the bios of each one of these individuals, but I will let you know that this information is going to be on the website. There'll be videos posted on the website that will highlight these 2020 winners, as well as press releases that will be going out as soon as the board meeting is over. So I know that each of you will be able to access that and find out more about our winners. The Student of the Year, the TCAT Student of the Year, is Ryan Olivia Cross. And Ryan went to TCAT Paris, where she received her diploma in the LPN program and has already started work at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. So again, one individual we were able to get into the healthcare field prior to the epidemic hitting. The Community College Student of the Year is Dominique Marcoldi. Dominique is a Tennessee Transfer Pathway student at Nashville State Community College with an English concentration. Our Faculty Member of the Year is TCAT faculty member Mike Sladinsky. Mike is a senior HVACR instructor at TCAT Knoxville. The Community College Faculty Member of the Year is Kathleen McAdams. Kathleen is an assistant professor in biology at Nashville State Community College. Our Staff Member of the Year, the TCAT staff member, is John Lee. John is an industry training coordinator at TCAT Elizabethton. And the Community College Staff Member of the Year is Sharon Edwards. Sharon is a branch librarian at Motlow State Community College. The Partnership of the Year, which is a new award that we've established this year to recognize the good work that our colleges are doing in the community with partners, but also in and among themselves, from TCAT to community colleges and community colleges working with other universities. The group that was selected this year to receive the award goes to TCAT Jacksboro and TCAT Oneida Huntsville. TCAT Jacksboro and Oneida Huntsville partnered with Somerset Community College to develop a consortium that involved 4 Tennessee counties, 4 Kentucky counties, 8 governments, 10 school systems, 3 development districts, 8 chambers of commerces, local drug courts, jails, and prison partners to submit a very successful Appalachian Regional Commission Power Grant that they received in $1.5 million. This Power Grant will be used to expand and enhance secondary and post-secondary education for the 8 ARC distressed counties. The funding will put technical training equipment in 10 high schools and will provide new dual credit and dual enrollment opportunities for the CTE programs in these colleges. And now to announce the College of the Year. This year, we could not decide to name just one college. So we are actually going to be giving 2 College of the Year awards out this year, one for a technical college and one for a community college. The winner of the TCAT Community College of the Year is TCAT Hohenwald. And I wait there for screaming and cheering because I know Kelly's on the line.
Yeah, it's okay to unmute your line on that one, Kelly.
Kelly, congratulations to you and your team. I am going to read just a little bit about TCAT Hohenwald at this time so that you can hear the reasons why they were selected. TCAT Hohenwald kicked off 2020 with Governor Lee visiting to announce a $1 million governor's investment in vocational education, which will expand technical education opportunities and programs to students in that community. Like its counterparts across the state, the college is very student-centered, regularly producing program completion, job placement, and licensure rates above the recommended benchmark. Its Skills USA chapter is a designated chapter of excellence whose students frequently win medals at state and national competitions. The college created a Veterans Wall of Service to honor students and family members who served or are serving in the military. With the move to online studies during the COVID-19 pandemic, it created a student laptop loaner program with grant funds, and it has an active scholarship program recognizing student achievement and helping students complete their studies. The college is also very community-focused and was named the 2019 Business of the Year by the Hohenwald-Lewis County Chamber of Commerce for its work with industry and community. And TCAT Hohenwald was recently recognized for outstanding community development in Wayne County. Again, high congratulations to TCAT Hohenwald and to Kelly and to all the work that has been going on there. And now to announce our Community College of the Year. The winner goes to Roane State Community College. Dr. Whaley, would you like to scream out loud?
Yes, I would. Thank you so very, very much.
We are so proud of what Roane State has accomplished. They attained distinction for its successful coaching model, which provides every entering student with a single source at their local campus to assist with academic, financial aid, and career advisement first year. This singular focus on student success extends to the classroom with the initiation of the Learning in Action project, in which faculty are integrating active and collaborative teaching to help students engage more deeply with their coursework and generate a sense of belonging with each other. Roane State has also implemented a middle college model that has enabled almost 160 high school students in 6 area school systems to obtain an associate's degree concurrent with their high school graduation. We are so proud of all the work that both of these colleges have done. And one of our large sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield, has agreed to help us host events, a luncheon at each of these campuses back when we are able to maybe let up on our social distancing just a little bit. And they'll be in attendance to also help us celebrate. We will keep the board apprised of when we hope we can plan those events to highlight our winners and to recognize the great work that goes on across this system. Congratulations to all the winners. Again, remember that the videos will be up on the website, and you'll be able to see more exciting news about each one of these individuals. Thank you so much for all that you do. And Madam Chair, that we give the score report.
May we give a round of applause at this juncture to all of our winners, please?
Please. We should have figured out how to have virtual fireworks.
Exactly. Or a drum roll as you began.
That's right.
No, that's a great report. We're proud of everybody. And look, we will celebrate this in a myriad of ways. And thanks for keeping your creative hat on. Any comments or questions with regard to the STORE Award?
Madam Chair, this is Regent Hatch. I've got a message for Dr. Whaley. My very first out-of-town Board of Regents meeting in 2017 was at his campus. And on the tour that day, I ended up in the office of all the success coaches, and I was extremely impressed with what that group was doing. And one of my takeaways, or my biggest takeaway that day, was how neat that was and probably how successful that was going to be. So great job, Dr. Whaley, and you deserve that award.
Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, beautifully said, as always. Anyone else? Oh, thank you all. Regent Hatch, I thought you were asking to speak to brag on the fact that someone from Nashville State was both student and faculty member of the year.
Well, absolutely, that too.
Okay. No, but well said. Congratulations again to everyone, and we will look forward to celebrating with you. Chancellor, I think you may have 2 more quick items.
I do. I would just real quickly like to give an update on our Jackson State president search. We are down to having the 3 finalists named. We had tentative plans for them to fly into campus that we have now altered. We will be conducting virtual campus interviews on May 11th, 12th, and 13th with our finalists. And if you remember, the 3 finalists are Dr. George Pimentel, Dr. Paige Niehoff, and Dr. Jeff Yoakum. They will be coming in virtually to the different groups that they normally would meet with in person on campus. We've talked at length with our consulting firm, and she has been doing this at other campuses and says it's really been working quite well. And the fact that we had already been able to meet with these 3 individuals in person gives us a degree of comfort that we know we will make a good selection, because any of the 3 would be great candidates. So we feel very confident we'll be able to complete that process and have a new president on site in a timely manner. The other search I'd like to just give you a quick update on is our legal chief attorney. And if you recall, we conducted the first search and then decided to go with the search firm Latitude. They have been consistently continuing to work on this for us. They presented the committee, which, if you recall, is chaired by Regent Duckett, serving on the committee with Regent Reynolds, former Regent Griscom, and Vice Chancellor Danny Gibbs. Last week, they gave us a list of the recommended candidates, and we went through, and based on the information that was provided to us by the search firm, we were able to select 4 names that will move forward for actual interviews with the committee. We are planning to try and hold these interviews in person on May 19th, depending on the state of the world at that point in time. If not, then we'll make different plans, but we are hoping to have that first round held at that point. Are there any questions about either one of these searches? If not, Madam Chair, that completes my part of this report.
Thank you, Chancellor. Excellent report. And if Regent Krause is still on the line, Mike, is there anything you would like to add, kind of given where you sit, perspective on COVID-19 at this point? I know the Chancellor covered it quite well for our system, but any additional thoughts?
Sure. Would just say that, and I'm sure everybody's been following it closely, but we've seen kind of our first positive results this week in terms of, would have been some pretty unprecedented actions. I don't think any of us ever dreamed we'd be sitting in a room talking about going fully online. And yet the Board of Regents and Chancellor Tidings and her team were able to make that happen in a really unprecedented way. And so I think the positive data we saw yesterday and today relative to Tennessee is a result of that. I would also say we had a very large spike today, well over 300 new cases. And from what I'm hearing, and I think you all have heard many of the same things, we expect that to continue. I really want to thank Chancellor Tidings and Dr. Puryear. This personal protective equipment enterprise has been full-time. I know it has for Carol, it has for me and my team as well. But the result has already been thousands of these face shields they're really considered kind of the Cadillac of PPE. If you have a face shield, you're much less concerned about your N95 mask under it. And so, as always, TBR has been able to be, this great hybrid of education and workforce. And I think this is another great example of it. We will be at the state level, just as you are, continually assessing what things look like for summer and fall. There's a whole lot of questions we don't know the answers to right now, but we do know that at some point we all need to get in a room and talk about what we learned during this period. Yeah. Because it's our belief, THEC, we're fortunate to be at a perch where we can kind of hear what the LGIs are doing, hear what UT's doing, hear what TBR is doing. And there were things that happened during this time in response to an emergency that probably have great import for us during non-emergency times. And so we look forward to, first and foremost, getting through this. But second, being able to get together in a room sometime when this is still fresh and just kind of do what we would have termed in the Army as an AAR, an after-action review. I think we learned that when an adult student's shift changes, they shouldn't drop their classes. We should help them transition online. Those sorts of things, I think, are going to be the most powerful way for us to turn an incredibly surreal situation into something positive. But I hope the regents just hear from me, having firsthand seen everything the chancellor has led all the way down to your presidents has been, I bet there are a few states that can say their community and technical college system reacted the way TBR did. Y'all should be very, very proud. And just such a great partnership between our teams. We're going to keep pushing on PPE. We still need more. But our hope is next time we talk to you all, we're really being able to talk about when our colleges are all back in full force in the fall, what did we learn during this time that makes even that return to campus look a little bit different?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership and for your compliments for our team. That was very well said. And I couldn't agree with you more on the importance of lessons learned. So thank you. With that, we do not have any unfinished business to come before the board. We do have several new business items. So bear with us here as we have a few more roll call votes coming up, as you see on the agenda. The first, however, is our consent agenda. Both of these items were presented to us at the committee chairs meeting, 2 policy revisions and faculty emeritus recommendations. Dr. Hamilton, do you have anything to add on that? I know you did a good briefing for us back on March.
No, ma'am, I do not. No additions at all.
Are there any questions for Dr. Hamilton? And if not, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. It's Greg.
Thank you, Richard Duckett.
Second, Tom.
Thank you very much. We have both a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll turn it back to Madam Secretary. We can take both of these, as I understand it, as one roll call vote since they all rolled up in the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify who made the second. Was it Regent White?
Yeah, it's Tom White.
Thank you. All right. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
So my question is,
Aye.
The
Regent
state
Dollar?
directors are
Aye.
not providing any direction. They're only collecting dues.
Someone has their phone off of mute. Could you please
Yes,
check that,
this is
please?
Regent Duckett. I was wanting to cast my vote.
You want to cancel your vote?
Cast, C-A-S-T.
Oh, cast your vote. Okay. Thank you. Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Green? Aye. Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent Pepper?
Aye.
Regent Prescott? Aye. Vice Chair Reynolds? Aye. Regent Shockey?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Yes.
Regent Wong?
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries, Madam Chair.
Sorry,
Thank you
very
very
quickly,
much.
Commissioner Swinn's on the line, and also votes aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Swan. Appreciate you joining the call, and I'll record your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Much appreciated. At this time, I'd like to call on Vice Chancellor McCormick and Vice Chancellor Gibbs, who will provide us. These are informational items only, and I believe we will start with the legislative update. And Vice Chancellor Gibbs has sent us a summary of the budget update. But Kim, are you going to take it first?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and Chancellor Tidings as well, and members of the board. I will begin today by discussing legislative activity related to higher education at both the state and federal level, and then defer to Vice Chancellor Danny Gibbs to discuss the details of the legislation in regard to budget impact. And then I will conclude this segment with an update from Assistant Vice Chancellor Matthew Gann to provide a briefing on our system and campus level work in support of Census 2020. So, to begin on the legislative front, at the state level, the General Assembly worked late into the evening on Thursday, March 19th, as we all know, passing only legislation and the governor's revised budget that were absolutely necessary for the operation of the state during the COVID crisis before recessing until June 1st. Bills of particular importance to TBR that passed are the following. The first is Senate Bill 2340, House Bill 2062. This bill was sponsored by Chairman Gresham and Chairman White. This bill will properly adjust state law to allow for a post-certified police chief to be based at the system office to coordinate the police officers across our TCAPs. The bill was signed by Governor Lee, and became public chapter 630 on April 6th. Now, however, when we get to Vice Chancellor Gibbs' session, we're going to need to talk about the actual officers. Due to our current crisis, two extremely important bills were introduced and passed. Senate Bill 1973, House Bill 2472, again sponsored by Chairman Gresham and Chairman White, authorizes the Executive Director of TSAC to temporarily suspend, modify, or waive deadlines or other non-academic eligibility requirements for student financial aid programs. And this was if the governor declared a state of emergency, which he has. Also, Senate Bill 2672, House Bill 2818, this one was sponsored by Leader Johnson and Lambert, authorizes the State Board of Ed to promulgate emergency rules as necessary to address any issues created by school closures due to the outbreak of COVID-19 during the 1920 school year, and it requires the Commissioner of Education to waive certain requirements and establishes other related requirements as amended, and this is the part that's important to us, although it's all important. The bill also authorizes TSAC and public institutions of higher ed to promulgate emergency rules to protect the financial aid and credit opportunities for high school students who were enrolled in dual credit or dual enrollment courses during the spring 1920 school year and who were also adversely affected by the school closures. In the realm of legislation we are following that was not heard before the recess, there are multiple bills regarding financial aid, lottery issues, paying college athletes, contract agreements, handgun laws, and we will continue to monitor these bills upon return of the General Assembly. One specific bill that is definitely on our radar for return is Senate Bill 2344, House Bill 2105, again sponsored by Chairman Gresham and Chairman White. This is the bill that we need to allow our TCAPs to offer the AOT, or the Associate of Occupational Technology degree. We need this bill specifically for our surgical tech programs due to the fact that the accrediting body will in the near future require a person to hold the associate degree to sit for the national certification exam. It has already passed the Senate, and its counterpart, House Bill 2105, is scheduled, at least at the current time, to be heard next in the House Education Committee. In regard to the governor's revised budget, there were TBR relevant items removed. However, In light of the current circumstances, as Chancellor Tidings has said numerous times, we are fortunate and grateful to both the Governor and the General Assembly for what currently remains. On the federal level, several important pieces of legislation have passed, and there will likely be more, as we all know, in the near future. In Congress, House Resolution 6201, sponsored by Representative Nita Lowey of New York, is the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, and it is now Public Law 116 through 127. It provides emergency funding for several governmental agencies, supports individuals through nutrition, unemployment, and work leave programs, secures coverage for the medical cost of COVID-19 testing, and permits tax credits for employers covering paid sick, family, and medical leave. Our Human Resources ABC, April Preston, has done an amazing job of providing guidance to our campuses regarding this new law and its impact upon our institutions. Senate Bill 3548, also known as the CARES Act, was sponsored by Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. This legislation provides many things in a response to the economic impact of the COVID-19 crisis. With respect to education, the bill temporarily suspends payment for federal student loans and otherwise revises provisions related to campus-based aid, supplemental educational opportunity grants, federal work study, subsidized loans, Pell Grants, and foreign entities. As guidance comes from the Federal Department of Ed, our system office is providing information daily to our campuses. There is approximately $14 billion in the package dedicated to higher ed across the nation. And Chair Reynolds, unless there are questions at this point, I would really like to defer my time to Vice Chancellor Danny Gibbs so that he may provide an overview of the financial impact of both the adjusted state budget and the federal stimulus package.
Let's keep going, and then we could take questions for both of you just in case.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and Vice Chancellor McCormick. Members, as was mentioned, you should have received a budget update document from Sonja Mason this week, but I want to review the contents briefly with you at this time. Again, as you're aware, the Governor submitted his original budget proposal in early February, and then in March, the administration submitted a budget amendment that was reflective of the economic change that had occurred as a result of the coronavirus. The items from the Governor's original budget recommendation that are still fully funded in the amended budget include the outcomes funding formula that is still fully funded, and that's about $12.2 million to our community colleges and TCATs. The Megatronics program funding, $1 million non-recurring, is still funded. The Correctional Education Investment Act, $5.4 million is funded, along with capital maintenance of $21.3 million still fully funded, and that would cover about 21 projects for the Tennessee Board of Regents system. Items from the Governor's original budget recommendation that were adjusted in the amended budget. And there's one item there, and that's the state salary increase. The state salary increase policy was lowered from the original 2.5% to 1.5%. The items from the Governor's original budget recommendation that were removed from the amended budget and not funded include the capital outlay project at TCAT Chattanooga for the Advanced Manufacturing Building, and that was a $21.7 million project. As was mentioned earlier, the TCAT Safety and Security funding of $5 million recurring was removed, and if you recall, that was to go to fund police officers at our TCATs and a chief of police at the system office level. The competency-based education capacity funding of $750,000, of which $400,000 was recurring and $350,000 was non-recurring, was not funded in the amended budget as well. And again, it has been mentioned, the legislative session has recessed until June, not adjourned. So I assume that the administration is still monitoring the economic impact of COVID-19 and reviewing state revenue projections. So it is possible that we may still have not heard the last regarding the state budget again, but they will reconvene at this point in June. At that point, I'll pause if there are any questions related to the state budget before I get into the federal front. If not, we'll move into the federal legislation. As was mentioned, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act, has been approved and passed. For higher education, the cornerstone piece of the CARES Act legislation is the approximate $14 billion going to provide emergency education relief funds to institutions of higher education to support institutions and students as they cope with the immediate effects of the coronavirus and school closures. Broadly, the funds may be used to cover any cost associated with significant changes to the delivery of instruction due to the coronavirus, so long as such costs do not include payments to contractors for the provision of pre-enrollment, recruitment activities, endowments, or capital outlays associated with facilities related to athletics. Also, institutions are required to use no less than 50% of the funds to provide emergency financial aid grants to students for expenses related to the disruption of campus operations due to the coronavirus. And this would include, eligible expenses would include things under the student's cost of attendance such as food, housing, course materials, technology, child care, etc. The Act also created the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund, and nationwide this was about $2.95 billion. And this is to provide emergency education relief fund grants to the governor of each state that applies. This flexible funding will go directly to the states, local school districts, and institutions of higher education to help with the immediate need associated with the coronavirus. At this point, the allocation for Tennessee is unknown and will be determined at a later time. So what does all this potentially mean to our institutions? The American Council on Education has developed a model that tries to predict the amount of funding that may go to each college or university across the country. According to the CARE Act, the funding distribution is generally calculated by student FTEs, with an institution's Pell students weighed at 75% in the formula and non-Pell students weighed at 25% in the formula. So with regard to the American Council on Education's projections, what that would mean for our institutions, again, keep in mind, these are just projections, nothing official has been released. But for our community colleges and TCATs in total, ACE's projection was that we would receive about $63.8 million. And again, recall at least 50% of this has to be spent towards student grants, and then 50% could be discretionary. So each of those pools would be, $31.9 million. To put it in a little bit more perspective, I'll look at a few of our schools. On the community college side, Dyersburg was our smallest, and the projection for them was almost $1.5 million in total. For Southwest Tennessee Community College, the projection was about $6.6 million. So that was the smallest and largest among our community college sectors, and so everyone else fell somewhere in between that. On the TCAT side, TCAT Whiteville was the smallest, and it was projected to receive about $209,000. TCAT Memphis was the largest, and they were projected to receive almost $1.5 million. So again, to kind of put it in a little bit more perspective, if you think about the total amount received by the community college and compare that to the maintenance fees, for example, the total funding would be about 9.2% of the total maintenance fee revenue. So if you think about it in those terms, if our institutions had a 10% decline next year in enrollment, it would pretty much take the discretionary portion to cover, the lost revenue from any potential decline. So I think that should give you kind of a broad general picture of the CARES Act and the potential impact that it would have on our campuses. So the next question always is, well, when will the colleges get the money? And at this point, that's very unclear. I've seen projections from a month to a few months. The Federal Department of Education is still in the process of working through the calculations that support the requirements in the CARE Act. They are also developing more specific guidance for how the money can be used at this point. So with that, Madam Vice Chair and Vice Chancellor McCormick, I'll pause there if there are any questions related to the CARES Act funding.
Any questions for either Kim or Danny at this point? That's a lot of information for us to take in, but it's all good. Very helpful, and I know each of you is following a moving target in many ways at this point in time.
Yes, we are.
Yes, you are. But nothing for Kim and Danny? I hear someone maybe breaking up. No? All right, Kim, let's move on to Matthew and our census update, please.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Reynolds. Before I turn it over to Matthew, I do want to say one thing, and I just want to brag on my team for they put a lot of work into putting the SOAR event together, and they put even more work into converting that event into a virtual status. So I'm proud of all of them for that. And at this time, I would like to turn the floor over to AVC Matthew Gann to provide the update on the system and campus level efforts to promote Census 2020. Matthew?
Thank you, Dr. McCormick. The TBR system office and 4 of our colleges have been awarded the Tennessee Complete Count census grants from the Office of Criminal Justice Programs. Those colleges are Ball State, Chattanooga State, CCAT Hohenwald, and TCAT Morristown. The grant was designed to encourage residents who are hesitant to respond or unaware of the importance of responding to the census. From a system level perspective, we know the census count is important because it allows for Pell Appropriations, Perkins grants, adult education and literacy grants, and it actually is used on how our campuses plan capital projects and academic programming. The TBR portion of the system grant, or the grant, centers around a cross-platform social campaign that targets 3 distinct populations. Those are adults 18 to 29, those with incomes under $30,000, and minority populations. And these are all on a focus on education. We know by the Pew Center indicating that the likelihood of not participating in the census by these demographic groups is extremely high, ranging from about 21% to 34% that they are not going to participate or they're unwilling to participate. We're hoping that with the campuses and their programs and our program that is bringing the importance of filling out the census and completing that closer to home, and they will entice these groups to participate. The System Office grant also provides a function to promote census activities that our campuses are doing and participating in, as well as creating toolkits and messaging and visuals that our colleges can use from our own website. So just because these campuses did not get one of the grants, we will be providing these toolkits to all of our campuses. And the toolkit will probably streamline the posting process for these campuses. The campaign will kick off on April 15th and run through June, and is being managed by Jennifer Thompson on the marketing team at the system level. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll turn it back over to Dr. McCormick.
Vice Chair Reynolds, unless there are further questions, this concludes our report.
Thank you. Good report. And the census is part of this perfect storm, right? It complicated enough, and it just became much more complicated this year. But I'm glad we are part of this process in some way. So thank you all. And Kim, I wanted to reflect for just an instant on your kind words about your team and the SOAR Awards. Chris Perkins and the team were doing a great job with this. I know there's nothing more disappointing than having to pull down something you've worked so hard on, but please convey the board's appreciation. I know Danny had sent a very warm thank you email to Chris for all of the good work that had gone into this, and just wanted to reflect that one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, hang in there with us. We have 2 more action items. Both have been included in our packet. The first involves program implementations at our TCATs, and I will call on Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you, Vice Chair Reynolds. 25 program proposals are being presented for your review and approval. These proposals will allow the technical colleges to be more responsive to the needs of students, business, and industry. The proposals are implementation of an emergency medical technology program at TCAT Crump, implementation of an online distance education program in health information management technology at TCAT Crump, Columbia State Community College Clifton campus, implementation of an online distance health information management technology program at TCAT Crump, Henderson, Chester County Instructional Service Center, implementation of a diesel-powered equipment technology program at TCAT Crump at the Regional Transportation Education Center, the implementation of an online distance education, information technology, and infrastructure management program at TCAT Crump at the Henderson Chester County Instructional Service Center, the implementation of an advanced manufacturing production technology dual enrollment program at TCAT Dixon, Houston County High School, the implementation of an advanced manufacturing production technology dual enrollment program at TCAT Dixon in Stewart County High School, the relocation of the industrial maintenance program at TCAT Hohenwald, Wayne County Instructional Service Center. This is an address change only. The implementation of an emergency technology program at TCAT Hohenwald at Perry County Instructional Service Center, the implementation of an evening welding technology program at TCAT Jacksboro at the Jellicoe Instructional Service Center, the implementation of an emergency technology program at TCAT Knoxville, the American Medical Response, the implementation of an advanced manufacturing production technology dual enrollment program at TCAT McKenzie at the Weakley County Center for Adults, the implementation of a cosmetology instructor training program at TCAT Murfreesboro, the implementation of a nursing aid program at TCAT Murfreesboro, the implementation of an electrical apprenticeship training standard program at TCAT Nashville, the implementation of a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning apprenticeship training standard program at TCAT Nashville, the implementation of an evening emergency medical technology program at TCAT Oneida Huntsville at the York Institute Instructional Service Center, the replication of a welding technology program as an evening program at TCAT Pulaski at the Lawrenceburg Instructional Service Center, the implementation of an evening welding technology program at TCAT Pulaski, Marshall County Instructional Service Center at the Spotlow Vocational Center, the implementation of an evening welding technology program at TCAT Pulaski, Lincoln County Instructional Service Center, the relocation of the Industrial Maintenance Automation Program from TCAT Shelbyville Suncrest Center for Advanced Technologies to the Lincoln Central Academy Extension Campus, the implementation of a farming operations technology program at TCAT Shelbyville Lincoln Central Academy Extension Campus, the relocation of the Information Technology and Infrastructure Management Program from TCAT Shelbyville Main Campus to TCAT Shelbyville Middle Tennessee Education Center Instructional Service Center, the implementation of an Information Technology and Infrastructure Management Program at TCAT Shelbyville Franklin County Extension Campus, and number 25, the implementation of an Information Technology and Infrastructure Management Program at TCAT Shelbyville at the Lincoln Central Academy Extension Campus. In addition to the 25 proposal, we also have in your packets 6 academic actions that have been submitted by the appropriate TCATs that only require notification to the Vice Chancellors. And those actions are from TCAT Crossville, Hartsville, Morristown, New Bern, and Ripley. And that concludes my summary.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Any questions for Dr. Hamilton on these new programs? Sounds like we're working hard to be responsive to community requests and even deeper in our community, shall we say.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so proud of our campuses, our presidents, faculty, and staff.
That's excellent. If there are no questions, may we entertain a motion to approve the proposed program implementations?
I move to approve. This is Regent Prescott.
Thank you, ma'am. A second?
Second, Tom White.
Thank you, Tom. So any questions or comments? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, let's call the roll.
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Dollar?
Aye.
Regent Duckett? Regent Duckett? Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent Pepper?
Aye.
Regent Pepper? Thank you. Regent Prescott?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwinn?
Aye.
Regent Shockey?
Aye.
Regent Garland?
Aye.
Regent Watt?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Regent Duckett? Motion carries, Vice Chair Reynolds.
Thank you very much. Next item is a proposed revision to our policy with regard to the duties of the Chancellor, which seems apt in the situation we're in, and also I think can withstand precedent at the test of time for us going forward. I'd like to call on Chris Modisher to talk with us about this proposed revision.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. This is an amendment to the board policy on the duties and powers of the Chancellor. It makes explicit that during a declared state of emergency, the Chancellor, in consultation with the Vice Chair, has broad powers, including the power to waive or amend policies consistent with state and federal laws and the governor's orders for the good of the system. And any action taken by the Chancellor would be reported to the full board in the interim action report. And that proposal is now before you.
Any questions for our General Counsel? And just as a matter of information to the board, and Chancellor, correct me if I'm putting this incorrectly, but you did have a conversation with Regent Duckett with that good legal mind on this. Do you want to share any technicolor there, since I think we might have lost him?
Yes, thank you. And this came about as again a conversation that Vice Chair Reynolds and I had, and we felt like one broad statement might be appropriate. Not trying to usurp power from anyone, certainly, but to make sure that we are able to move expeditiously as quickly as possible if needed. So when we talked with Chris and with Greg Duckett and looked at what was currently written in the policy, it was not quite broad enough for us to be able to do some things that we may perhaps need to be able to do.
Any questions on this? And if not, we will certainly entertain a a motion to approve.
Hey, this is Tom. Is this a short-term thing or is this a longer-term authority?
It would only be in existence if during a declared state of emergency.
Okay. Thanks for clarification.
But Tom, the change to the policy would be in there in perpetuity in case there is ever another declared state of emergency.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Good question. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And that was?
Burdine.
Oh, thank you, Miles. Thank you, Regent Burdine. And a second, please?
I'll second Mom.
This is Yolanda. Oh, thank you both. Any further questions? Hearing none, this is our last roll call vote of the day, but please stay on. I want to ask our two commissioners a question, if I might, in just a moment. And we will finish promptly here just a few minutes after 4:30. Sandra, if you could call the roll one more time.
May I ask a question? Those who provided the second to the motion was Regent Green and Regent White. Is that correct?
I'll let Regent Green hit that one.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Thank you. Regent, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Regent Apple?
Please.
Aye. Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Dollar?
Aye.
Regent Duckett, are you on the line? Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent Pepper?
Aye.
Regent Prescott? Aye. Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwinn?
Aye.
Regent Shockey?
Aye.
Regent Barlin?
Aye.
Regent Wong? Regent Wong? Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. So I know these conference calls are difficult at times, and I thank everyone for hanging in there with us today and getting through this. We've covered a lot of ground. But before I let everybody go, I wanted to ask our other two commissioners who are on the line, since we heard from Regent Krause earlier. First of all, thank you for your work at this point in time. But Commissioner Schwinn, anything from a K-12 education perspective you would like us to know? And then Commissioner Hatcher, anything from an ag perspective would be helpful to the board at this juncture.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and jump in. So, we've been spending a lot of time thinking specifically about supports for our students in high school, various programs, CTE programs, AP classes, ACT school credit, et cetera. We're also looking at our student organizations and what they've been able to do kind of in this new environment and context that we're in. Yesterday we've been posting a number of toolkits and resources on our website. Yesterday we have a new high school guidance document that essentially walks through some of the ways that districts can continue to support their high school students, especially in this transition period. And we'll continue to do that with reopening toolkits based on the feedback and needs of our district, as we make sure that our students are staying on the paths that they were on before this, that they're not losing any traction, continuing to find creative ways to get access to work-based learning and apprenticeships and dual credit opportunities. So we've got a ton of stuff on our website, and that's including a bunch of toolkits and FAQs, and I think one of the ways that we're trying to make sure we're staying up to date with the needs of our high school students.
Thank you. Good update. Thank you again for all you guys are doing. Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes, at the Department of Agriculture, we're still providing critical services that related to public health, food safety, and the like. The ag and forestry industries provide essential services, and where food, fuel, and fiber supply lines are strong, we're assisting the industries in removing barriers that they come against that might affect that supply chain. And we thank Tennesseans for their support of the essential workers that supply the services that we all need every day.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all you were doing. Chancellor, do you have any final announcements? And you might want to mention the June board meeting. And did I miss someone else? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Sherrick. Did anyone else come on? Oh, thank you very much. And yes, to mention the June board meeting, we did go ahead and make the decision to pull that meeting back to the central office. We hope that we will be able to have that meeting in person. We did not want the campus. It was originally planned to be at Columbia State. We did not want them to have to spend time planning that right now with everything else that they have going on. So we felt like that would be a relief to them to sort of take that off their plate at this moment. If we are not able to meet in person, then we will go back to our telephonic meeting as we've had today. I truly do thank each and every one of you for what you've done with your support. I've heard from all of you with your thoughts and comments and questions and support, and it is most appreciated. As I said earlier, I could not be more proud of this team. They have worked countless hours to make sure that we are going on to the best of our ability. And the presidents that are on the line today and those that are at the college campuses, they have worked tirelessly with their leadership team, keeping their campuses informed and up to date, and picking up the mantle and doing everything that needed to be done to serve our students and our state to the very best of everyone's ability. Our favorite goal is that we all stay healthy. To date, I didn't put that in my update, but I think we're very blessed that we've had very few positive results of testing from any of our campus employees. Those that have had mild cases. We have one case at the central office who is in full recovery at this time. So again, I feel like we have been spared up to this point, and we hope that that will continue. We know that this is very hard on our entire state, our entire country, and the entire world. So thank you to everyone for what you're doing.
You guys are all great examples of leadership, Chancellor, and for that we are grateful. Any further comments or questions from the board at all at this juncture? Well, I thank you all. Congratulations again to our SOAR Award winners, and we look forward to celebrating them in the hopefully not too distant future. In the meantime, as the Chancellor said, please be safe and be well. And if there are no objections, we will adjourn the quarterly board meeting of the Tennessee Board of Regents. Thank you all. Thank you.